Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Finolex Industries Limited Q1 FY22 earnings conference call hosted by Investec India. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. If you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Ritesh Shah, Analyst Materials, Head Mid-Market Coverage and ESG, Investec India. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Thanks, Ritesh. We welcome you all to Finolex Q1 FY22 results conference call. We have with us from the management Mr. Sanjay Matt, Managing Director, and Mr. Anil Wadi, Director of Finance and CFO. I'll request the management for initial remarks, post which we'll have a Q&A session. Over to you, Mr. Matt.
Thank you, Ritesh, and good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. I heartily welcome you on behalf of Finolex Industries Limited to this investor conference. Thank you for your continued interest in Finolex so far. We are happy to talk about the first quarter results FY22. The company has reported good set of financials despite the overall business environment remaining subdued due to the second wave of the pandemic. After reaching all-time highs, the PVC prices seem to be cooling off, which is a positive sign for opening up of the market demand. There has been improvement in all our financial parameters over the last year's quarter, although we should keep in mind the last year's first quarter was also affected by COVID-1 wave. Let me give you some performance indicators of Q1 22. The total income from operations was rupees 966 crores for Q1 22. This is up by 71.9% against 562 crores in Q1 21. The corresponding pre-COVID income Q1 20, 944. So this is also I'm giving you, so more or less the total income is matching with pre-COVID. Volume in pipes and fitting segment grew 5.5% against the last quarter in Q1 21. The total volume was 55,819 against 52,911 in quarter 1 21. This is again lower than the pre-COVID volume like last year. Volume in PVC resin segment grew by 10.6% to 50,249 tons against 45,435 tons in quarter 21. This is again lower than pre-COVID volume. EBITDA stood at 210 crores in quarter 22, which is up by 137% in rupees 88 crore for quarter 21. And corresponding figure pre-COVID in quarter 20 was 124. So this EBITDA this quarter 22 is 69% higher than pre-COVID. Profit after tax stands at 146 crores for quarter 22, up by 166% against last year's PAT of 55 crores for quarter 21, and pre-COVID PAT corresponding quarter 1 20 was 72 crores. So it is double than the pre-COVID PAT. These are the financial numbers. Getting this segmental performance, EBIT in the resin segment was 158 crores, up by 580% than the last year's, and EBIT in the pipes and fitting segment was 44 crores, and this is down by 15% than last year. We have a net cash surplus of rupees 606 crores, standing at 30th June 2021. I think these are the numbers that I have to share with you. I will leave the floor open for questions. As you have already said, I am accompanied here by our Director of Finance, Mr. Wadi, and Mr. Neeraj Kedia, who is the Deputy CFO. So leave it to you, Ritesh. Please go ahead. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Mat sir. Rutuja, we can open the queue for question and answers, please. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Sonali Salgaonkar from Jefferies. Please go ahead.
So thank you for the opportunity. So my first question is regarding what is the spread this quarter, PVC to EDC? What was it last quarter, and what is the current spread right now?
I'll just give you spread the quarter 715 for PVC to EDC and PVC to VCM. 1 minute. Sorry, the average for the quarter PVC to EDC 834 and PVC to VCM is 311.
So what was it in Q1 FY21?
Q1 FY21. This was 547 for PVC to EDC and PVC to VCM 224.
Then what is the current spread?
Current spread, even today's numbers are very attractive as such. You know, today we have seen PVC price hardening by $50, about 1400 to 1430 PVC. EDC is running at 670, 680. The spread is coming up to 320.
No, Sonali, the present spread is 670 PVC EDC.
That was last week. I'm just talking about ICI today. You know.
Oh yes, yes.
Understand. So my second question is regarding the EBIT for pipes and fittings. So we have seen the absolute EBIT margin as well as EBIT per ton declining both year on year and sequentially. So any particular reason why we are seeing this trend this quarter? Because consistently we had seen the EBIT per unit go up over the past 5-6 quarters.
Sonali, there were मतलब एक तो mix के कारण है, दूसरा in the rising PVC prices there were inventory gains which were there in the earlier quarters, and obviously when the PVC prices are moving down there will be some inventory loss because of that. So it's a mix of so many factors.
So what was the mix this quarter, agri versus plumbing, and secondly the quantum of inventory loss this quarter?
Inventory losses it's difficult to quantify, and agri non-agri mix, we in the last recent call we did mention that for last year agri mix, agri to non-agri was 63-37, and Q1 normally being agri dominant, so obviously this time this quarter ratio is about 68-69% for agri, which is higher.
Understand. So any guidance you would like to give at this point in time, either in terms of the steady state margins for pipes or PVC segment?
In pipes and fitting segment, normally it is ranges between 8 to 10 rupees. So that is how it should be in future also.
The EBIT margins?
Yes, per ton.
Okay. Got it. So next, CPVC volumes and revenue this quarter versus last quarter, please.
Just hold on. CPVC volume 3,431. And last year quarter was 882. So there is a threefold increase. But on the quarter 4, we had a better CPVC, 3,692 tons. Now, this is because this quarter also there is a COVID 2.0. So that COVID effect is seen. I think that momentum which was there in quarter 4 is not seen in quarter 1.
Got it, sir. Sir, how is the demand situation that you are witnessing right now? So we understand that this is seasonally weak for agri, but what about plumbing?
I think agri it will depend upon the monsoon, and monsoon is very active now. I think almost all the southern peninsula has been covered. Even the northern side, the monsoon is active. So agri will not take off for some time. It is a monsoon demand that will go on. I think as the pandemic is receding, and we see now the cases coming down to about 40,000 from 4 lakhs in last quarter. So there is unlocking is going on. I think opening up is already there. We see some traction in PVC demand as well as the pipes demand. So July was a better month compared to quarter 1, and we see that this may continue in the remaining 2 months of this quarter.
Sorry to interrupt. May I request Ms. Salgaonkar to please rejoin the queue? We have participants waiting for the turn.
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Chirag from HDFC Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good morning. Could you provide us with the PVC, EDC, ethylene, and VCM prices for the first quarter of this year and last year?
Just a minute. This quarter, PVC average price 1543 PVC, EDC 709, ethylene 991, and VCM 1233.
And so last year, same time?
Last year Q1 21, PVC 740, EDC 193, ethylene 537, and VCM 516.
And what will be the current or last week prices for the same?
I think last week's prices, PVC 1360, EDC 690,
690?
690, ethylene 1005, and VCM 1080.
Great. So the other question I had is, what kind of expansion do you envisage in the pipes business this year and over the next 2 to 3 years?
Say it again. What is your question?
So in terms of your distribution reach, what kind of expansion are you planning for this year and over the next couple of years?
I think expansion of the capacity is last time.
Not capacity, sir. In terms of your number of dealers and distributors, I'm looking at expansion in the dealership network.
I think presently we are fully covered across all India. Our present range is about 900 dealers and 21,000 retailers. We may add a few in. Yeah.
Sure. And so last question, what was fitting sales this quarter versus the previous quarter?
Fitting sale, just a minute. Fittings total volume was 5,192 and value-wise 141 crores.
And the previous year?
Previous last year first quarter was 3,054 and the value was 56 crores.
Sorry, value was?
56 crores.
66 crores. Great, sir.
There is an increase of 150% on value and 70% on volume.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rahul Agarwal from Anchorage Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good morning, and thanks for the opportunity. So I had 3 quick questions. Firstly, on the volume, could you help me understand, how much is the volume lost because of COVID lockdown? On a normal circumstance, the company would have done 80 to 90,000 tons is what my understanding is on overall pipe volumes. But any analysis in terms of how the actuals have panned out versus your own expectation? Obviously adjusting for COVID, like what's the volume lost here for agri pipes?
Rahul, it is difficult to state that. There will be, there could be reason of high PVC prices also. There's multiple factors. So it's difficult to assign for which reason the volumes have come into this being.
Okay. But okay. So let's say in terms of your sense of non-agri demand, could you help me understand over, let's say, short term? Let's talk about till December 2021. Which segments within the non-agri you're seeing, demand coming in? Let's say July. What's your experience, July, August?
I think we will be looking at CPVC, one, fittings, second, and the sewerage, the SWR. These are the main areas of thrust. Agri maybe as the normal average of monsoon.
And
as Mr. Wabi said, there are multiple reasons. One is COVID, and the other one is pricing. And the third one is, if you say pre-COVID 2019, the monsoon was delayed. Although overall monsoon was good, but it was delayed up to middle of July. And that is why that volume was good. You were talking about, so Q1 20 was 90,000 plus. But that was not a normal average of Q1. Could be somewhere about 85,000. So the loss could be somewhere around 25,000.
Got it, sir. Got it. And got it. And last question on other expenses. This number has actually stayed flat QOQ at 130 crores. Any one-offs or anything you want to highlight there, or is it a normal number?
Normal number. There's nothing unusual there.
Okay. If I could squeeze in one short question on the East market, any thoughts, any future plans in terms of addressing demand there?
I think East market is still, at present, East has got the maximum COVID cases. East is locked down. I think there is a real, all the 7 states in East, they have the highest number of cases. So there is a lockdown. I think this particular quarter, we can't really predict how East will perform.
Sir, I was more asking from a servicing perspective, as in terms of, since we don't have a plant there, I was more asking from that perspective, long-term structural, how do you address East markets? Because I think West, North and South are all very well catered by the company, right?
No, we are servicing it through our various plants here in West and South. So there is a transportation cost, but we are bearing it.
Okay, perfect. All the best. Thank you so much for answering my question, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vipul Shah from Sumangal Investment. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Congratulations for good set of numbers. My question is, with the fall in PVC prices, are you seeing any improvement in demand, sir, for agri sector?
Agri sector is at present in monsoon. We can't really see that it will take off like what we see normally in winter and summer.
Okay, but what is your assessment? The fall in PVC prices should encourage more demand, or?
Look, the seasonal demand is coming up only in spring and summer. So it may take off sometime around December, January, when the monsoon is over and then the winter and the spring sets in, the demand starts picking up and summer is the peak. So this particular quarter too may not be the real pickup on agri demand.
And sir, I missed your CPVC quarterly numbers and last year's CPVC. Would you repeat it, please, in tonnage and value, if possible?
CPVC 2,431.
This quarter, June quarter.
This quarter, about 88 crores.
And what was the same figure last year?
882 tons and 29 crores.
Okay, sir. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we promote the next question, reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 now. The next question is from the line of Achal from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity, sir. My first question is, if you look at the company, 70-75% of our resins are captively consumed. So just wanted to understand, is it to do with the capacity locations, which is why we are not able to consume or we have to buy resins from outside, and what is the difference in terms of the cost due to the logistics side?
I think we have surplus capacity on resin at present compared to what we can consume internally. Secondly, we are buying resin from outside only for CPVC and the fitting grade. So the other products are made by the in-house resin consumption.
Right. Okay. And the transfer pricing is the same as the external sales pricing. Is that right, sir?
Yeah. So whatever is a surplus, we sell it on the market.
Right. Understood. My another question, you mentioned that SWR pipes will be a driving factor for next few months.
I think all non-agri, I would say plumbing products and SWR.
Right. Understood. Sir, can you elaborate a little bit on the SWR pipes as to what kind of contribution we have, how many SKUs we have, and what is the plan?
I don't have that number now.
Okay. But what kind of SKU or the mix you would like to see over next 2, 3, 5 years?
Abhijit, you have any number on this?
Total number of SKUs is 2,100 plus, and this will keep on rising, and the number going up will be more in the non-agri space.
This 2,100 is aggregate, right? Of that, how much would be agri and how much would be
aggregate of all, yes.
Right. And how much would be agri out of that, sir?
That I do not have. That split I do not have.
Sure. And my another question was, with respect to resins, we do hear that it has been a bit of a challenge for the smaller players, unorganized players to source resins. So just thought of taking your perspective on the same as to how the resin availability is in India, and are you seeing a disruption, and what is the outlook on the resin price? Or rather, let me ask, what is the outlook on the global production side? Have things come back to normal, and what is driving the price increase globally?
I think the present prices are again hardening. They came down to 1350. Now today, I think they are coming back to 1400. Now we see that the next 6 months, that means this year end up to December, the price range will be somewhere about 1300, 1400. Maybe lowest will be 1250 and highest could be 1450. So in this range, in this band, it will move. There are certain issues on this that the availability for inter-region trade is less. Particularly all the regions, particularly North America, Europe or Asia Pacific, they are self-sufficient, but they don't have the surplus for trading outside. And that is how India, being a short on PVC, has got certain non-availability of import material. Last month, the imports were less than 1 lakh of tons. Normally about 130 to 150 KT is an import. So this shortage has definitely created something. Presently, people are also building up their inventory internally because they have depleted that, and demand is slightly picked up. So there are offers coming up at a higher price at present. So Indian demand will depend upon the availability, particularly from outside sources. Domestically, all are running their plants fully, and I think they don't have any surplus material available. So presently, if the demand picks up, it is only the supply constraint.
Right. And just a follow-up on that, sir. Thank you for that clarity. For FY21, what would that import number be in terms of PVC resin imports, in terms of volume? And how much of that, in your view, would be going for the plastic pipe and fitting?
I think these numbers are published regularly by the import-export departments. Every month these numbers are available, and normally the total demand could be around 30 lakh tons of PVC. Out of that, the internal domestic production is about 13 to 14 lakhs. And the remaining is import. So about 16, 17 lakhs comes from the outside. Now, if any time there is a drop in the supply from outside, the prices can fluctuate. At the same time, demand also is not steady, it is seasonal. So all these factors together, seasonal demand of PVC and PVC pipes and the supply side constraints or demand side constraints will change the entire pricing pattern. But it will remain in one band, maybe $100 here and plus minus.
Right. Just the of the total imports, how much would be going for plastic pipes? Is it like 40-50% or is it 70-80% kind of a range?
I think PVC has multiple applications, but PVC mainly in India it is 70% goes to the pipe segment only. There are multiple other sectors where PVC can go, maybe profiles and films and then lamination and various other things. Okay. But they are all 4-5% each. Now, wire and cables, one of the things like PVC cables is again 6 to 7%. Now, all these put together remain 30%. But main usage is 70% on pipes.
Understood. This is very helpful, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ritesh Shah from Investec India. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. It's a couple of questions. So one is from a capital allocation standpoint, are we looking to enhance our resin making capacity or add more EDC ethylene to cover up on the VCM side? Any thoughts?
I think we told you about this last time also. We are not able to close out on feedstocks, which are very limited available, and that is why we are not really able to take up any view on expansion at present.
So should one assume that what you are referring to is more on the VCM side, or it applies even for EDC and ethylene?
Everything is finally connected with ethylene. Because if you take EDC is also made from ethylene and ethylene chlorine. So ethylene is the main supply. And then you have EDC. EDC cracking one way can go. But the other route is that you can buy VCM and make PVC. So EDC route is a longer chain. VCM route is a shorter chain. But all depend upon finally from ethylene only. So that is how it will finally go.
Okay. So nothing on this side, on the CapEx side. That's encouraging. So secondly, one of the larger players or groups in India, they have announced nearly 2 million tons of PVC capacity in Gujarat. And this is where carbide route, and the group has captive coal, port, everything. So they will be lower on the cost curve. So just trying to understand, I think you indicated that the PVC manufacturing capacity in India is around 1.5 million tons. And the demand is around 3.3. So the gap is, say, around less than 2 million tons. So if hypothetically this capacity comes in, wherein the cost for the company is lower than EDC ethylene VCM route, what would it mean to our business model? And secondly, on the local premiums for PVC resin, is it something which could be detrimental because they could actually potentially close in the gap of imports into the country?
I think I will not talk about the new project that is coming up. They must have definitely done their economics right, and that is why they are going ahead with this project. But in general, I will say that carbide route is not the new route; it is the old route which is known. In India also, I think they were initially, when we started PVC, it was on carbide route. And that was one company in Bombay, that was Calico, which started earlier on carbide route. And secondly, BCM is still operating a carbide route. Now, between carbide route and the ethylene route, the advantages of carbide route is the capital cost is little lower, but the operating cost is high. Now, operating cost depends upon how it works. I will just tell you. Calcium is coming from the limestone. So you have a limestone, you have a coal, and you burn that together, and you make calcium carbide. And this is a very high energy consuming process. Per ton of calcium carbide requires about 3,000 to 3,500 kilowatt of energy. It requires 0.6 tons of coke and 0.9 tons of limestone. Now, having made calcium carbide and then you crush it and treat with water and you make acetylene. And acetylene is treated with HCl. Now, HCl is again made from chloralkali plants, that means caustic chlorine plants. And you burn hydrogen and chlorine that you generate as side products of caustic. And then you make HCl and you react with calcium carbide to make calcium carbide based acetylene and make VCM. The objection for this process came from the environmental issues. I think this process is using mercury chloride based catalyst, and mercury is a heavy metal and which is banned for any human consumption. Now that is how that particular process became environmentally unacceptable earlier. Now there are developments which are happening that they are moving away from mercury chloride, and maybe barium chloride is another catalyst that is developing, and this process is new, coming up very soon. So possibly there will be an opening on this particular process which may be environmentally acceptable. At the same time, the cost of calcium carbide based route will depend upon energy cost. So those who have got very cheap energy, they only can compete, not everyone. So if you have a captive mine of coal and you make your calcium carbide on captive mine, and you also have cheap source for energy based on coal or any other source, then only this becomes economically competitive. I think that is how possibly will go. But at the same time, it has got a very high carbon footprint because you are going to use coal-based power plant and you are also going to use coal-based calcium carbide, which also is highly energy consuming and it will be having a carbon footprint. So how the environmental clearances will come on this and how it is taken up. I think when China started, because they don't have the feedstocks, so China gave this type of permission to handle the calcium carbide route. And particularly on the eastern provinces of China, there is a lot of coal available. So they gave mines-based calcium carbide permission. And most of the PVC in China, more than 50% of PVC was made from carbide route at one point of time. And then later on, they put up the regulation. And environmentally, I think they stopped that. So there is a blend between ethylene-based PVC and calcium carbide-based PVC. But except China, I think none of the other countries are in carbide route. Possibly India may look at this if environmentally it is acceptable to the country.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for the detailed answer, sir. Just a few follow-ups. Sir, which is the other catalyst that you indicated besides mercury?
Barium chloride.
Sir, I didn't get you, sir. Sorry.
Barium chloride.
Barium chloride. Okay. That's one. Sir, secondly, if
But there are technologies which are coming up now, and there may be different types of catalysts which are not based on heavy metals and maybe acceptable catalysts. At present, mercury chloride catalyst is contaminating all the products that are made out of this particular VCM.
Sure. Sir, my second and third question over here. Sir, would there be any sense on basically how much will be the conversion cost if it is on captive coal versus the conversion cost that we incur via EDC ethylene route? And
I think these are very difficult things to answer. What price coal you are getting. Today, if you see coal is going up $60, $80, $90, depending on the calorific value, which is ridiculously high. It is the highest ever, possibly.
Okay.
And you can't say what is the market price of coal, whereas what is the mining cost of coal.
Okay.
You understand? So that is where the whole thing will be. So somebody's cost of coal may be different than the other person's cost of coal.
Right. Sir, is there any threshold above which the coal prices go, the carbide route becomes unviable? Anything of that based on your history?
I think we don't have that kind of economics at present.
Okay, and no worries. And sir, are we familiar with any capacities in China being taken down because they are high polluting and by carbide route, which can incrementally give better pricing on PVC in a more structural way going forward? Is there any theme of that sort, or anything that you're hearing of?
We can't say how China will respond to their demand of PVC. At present, they are more than 15 million tons. So, and most of it, half of it is coming from carbide route. But that is consumed internally. I think it is not coming out. So, if there is a more demand, whether they will go ethylene route or not, I think it is up to them how they will be looking at the whole thing, particularly in terms of carbon footprint, and how the pressures will mount on that.
That's right. Perfect, sir. This is very helpful. And sir, last question, sir. You indicated that agri percentage on volume terms was 68 to 69% for Q1. Sir, can you give the same numbers for Q4 FY21 and Q1 FY21, please?
Q1 FY21.
Yes, sir. It's a prior quarter and corresponding period last year.
Ritesh, this agri non-agri mix keeps on changing seasonality because of seasonality. So during the last call we said for the year in 18-19 what was 70-30 has moved to 63-37 for the full year.
Right.
In terms of value.
Correct. Sir, just wanted to know in volumetric terms, even if you give for Q4 FY21, that should be fine. I'm just trying to understand the realization moment on a sequential basis.
In volume terms, it will be different. So in value terms, we have tracked on value terms in case of both the earlier year and 2021.
Sure, sir. I'll follow up on this with you separately. Thank you so much for the answers.
Thank you. Reminder to the participants, to ask a question, please press star and 1 now. The next question is from the line of Karan from AMSEC. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you for the opportunity and congratulations for a good set of numbers. Sir, two things from my end. Sir, currently, are we facing any logistical challenges on the import of PVC resins?
We don't import PVC resin.
No, in general, yes.
In general, there are trade restrictions. The container availability is also very low, and the cost of containers transport is also gone up.
Right.
Rates are also gone up. So, there is a limitation coming on that front, but that is in general for every solid cargo. Yeah.
And this is where we have seen some firmness in prices after a decent fall?
I don't think that is what is the reason. Maybe there is some demand tailwind.
Okay. And also, sir, how is our channel inventory filling up now, given the fact that PVC prices are again started to form up now? So how is the reaction over there?
Bhabiji, can you tell this?
Normally, dealers don't keep large inventory. It is only because of this reason, because of the volatility in the prices. So they don't keep more than 8 days inventory anyway.
Right.
So it doesn't make difference.
Okay. And one last thing, sir, our presentation mentions about some capacity increase in the pipes and fittings. So can you throw some light on that?
Capacity increase. Last time we told about pipe capacity is 370,000 tons, and it is still sufficient for next 1 or 2 years. Once we see that there is a gap coming up for building additional capacity, it will be incrementally going up.
Right. Got it. And sir, just last thing you mentioned, the CPVC volumes of 3,400 tons or 2,400?
2,400.
2,400, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's it from my end.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Suresh Jurani, an individual investor.
Good morning, sir. This is Suresh Jurani. I am an international plastic trader and the investor. Am I audible, sir?
Yes. Go ahead.
Sir, my question is basically, as we go forward, PVC resin on CFR basis may go up because there will be a high freight cost due to non-availability of a container. My question is, why basically we convert PVC resin into a pipe when you can sell your PVC resin in open market?
What is your question?
Hello?
I didn't get your question.
My question is, things are going to be difficult on the logistics front, as I see personally.
Okay.
Because the non-availability of containers, PVC resin not coming from US and other sources. Ultimately, the imports in India will get dislocated because of the non-availability of containers, which will get manifested into higher CFR price. So why to convert, if agri demand is not good, why to convert the resin into a pipe? Why not to sell as a merchant commodity in the market, PVC, suspension grade?
I think we answered this. Whatever we consume in our in-house requirement, we consume that. Anything is surplus available, we sell it in the open market. We are the only pipe manufacturer which has got a backward integrated resin manufacturer. All the resin manufacturers do not have the pipes plants. All the pipes plant people do not have the resin plant. So we are the only one. And this is where the difference lies. All other resin manufacturers are selling resin only. So this question does not really get relevant whether we should sell resin or we should sell pipe. We get into the end use market as our value chain is longer. So we get and we can consume all our resin. Even if there is a demand contraction on resin, we continue to operate with our pipes.
Sir, my question is, your nameplate rating for PVC resin is 2.75 lakhs. 2.75 lakhs per annum.
Correct, sir.
How much you basically produce? You can produce. Are you limit? You mentioned it's limited with the feedstock.
Yeah, we produce almost full. We are normally more than 250,000 tons. 260, 270 is maximum. We reached up to 270, depending on the VCM availability or some interruption on that. So our capacity utilization and the operating rate is definitely more than 90%. It is normally 95 to 98% of operating rate.
Sir, my last question related to this. What is the percentage of your feedstock between EDC and VCM?
Out of this 275,000, we make 150,000 VCM. Okay? And the rest of it is we buy VCM.
And the source is Middle East?
Sources can be, yes, Middle East is some contracted volume, and all other if it is more, then we can take spot volume also.
This Capco is having an excess EDC capacity.
Who's that?
Capco is having excess EDC capacity.
I don't know exactly how.
Qatar.
We are buying from Qatar, so it's not. We have a long-term contract with Qatar.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Sudesh. May I request you to rejoin the queue, sir? We have participants waiting for their turn. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Akhil Kaluri from Franklin Templeton. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the opportunity. So a couple of questions. First, on the pipe division, just wanted to understand in terms of what the company is doing on column pipe side. I mean, over the past 3-4 years, you've done very well in terms of scaling up the CPVC portfolio, but column pipes is probably another low-hanging fruit where the company has a reasonably strong right to win. So if you can throw some light in terms of what the journey has been and what are the aspirations in that business.
I think our column pipe sales are about 200 tons a month. So that is what is our present range of operation.
Right. But in terms of if you can talk a little bit about the efforts that the company is doing in terms of scaling that portfolio up, because that's something that the company has talked about in the past as well. That column pipes is an area where you want to scale up.
Column and casing. Casing is also, because casing is larger volume than this. Mm-hmm. So column and casing put together is about 2,000 tons.
Right, sir. But in terms of, say, for example, say 3 to 5 years from now, how large do you think can this business become?
I think we are also enlarging that portfolio as it comes. There is no limitation from our side in terms of operation. It is only the demand pickup has to come. We have to penetrate on that market. Already the market is flooded with the earlier players.
Right. Sir, any estimates on how large the market can be in terms of the column pipe market, and what is our market share currently in that segment?
I think it's difficult to say exactly. It is on regional basis. There are certain people who have. See, column pipe is used for groundwater.
Yes.
And it all depends upon how the water availability is. So some states are very good on column, particularly southern states, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, and some parts of Maharashtra. So more or less the Deccan Plateau and the southern part is scarce on the water, on surface water. So they have to go on groundwater, and groundwater is the one where you use column and casing. So right. It is mostly south driven, and depending on the monsoon, the total demand fluctuates. If there is a shortage of monsoon, because there are 2 monsoons two rainy seasons in the south, particularly Tamil Nadu. It all depends upon how the rainy season takes up.
Sure, sir. But lastly, if you can talk a little bit about the efforts that the company is also doing, maybe from a people perspective, maybe from a distribution expansion perspective, any steps that the company has taken over the past few years on this segment?
Distribution
and maybe from a people perspective, sir, in terms of hiring more resources, bringing in some senior management strength on the column pipe side. Any efforts from the company's side?
No, this is specifically not for any vertical that we are looking at. In general, this is again more or less an irrigation product. It is more like agri product. So
right.
We have distribution set up for agri, and that is the channel that we use.
Sure, sir. Sure, fair enough, sir. The second one again was on capital allocation, sir. I mean, we have almost 600 crores of cash, fairly healthy operating cash flows. Again, you touched upon the fact that from a capex perspective, both on resin as well as pipe, there might not be too much of outgo over the next couple of years. So just wanted to understand if there are any other areas that the company could be exploring at this stage from a capital allocation perspective. If not, can the payout ratios increase dramatically from current levels as well?
I think Vabi on the cash side. Hello, Vabi.
Sorry to interrupt. Please give me a moment. The line of Mr. Anil got disconnected.
आपण ज्या व्यक्तीशी बोलत आहात त्यांनी आपला कॉल होल्डवर ठेवला आहे. कृपया लाइन पर रहा. आप जिस व्यक्ति से बात कर रहे हैं उन्होंने आपके कॉल को होल्ड पर रखा है. कृपया लाइन.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for patiently holding the line. The line of the management is reconnected. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Hello.
Vabi sir, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, Vabi sir, there was a question on capital allocation given cash on books is significant. Akhil, you're there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
So sir, the question was basically we have a reasonably large cash balance, almost 600 crores. Operating cash flow is also fairly healthy, and you just indicated that incremental capex in both resin as well as pipes is not going to be material over the next couple of years.
Correct.
So I just wanted to understand if you're thinking of any other areas that the company is exploring from a capital allocation perspective. If not, can the payout ratios increase further from current levels?
See, as we said last time, we would look at possibilities of investing in some projects, but then if we do not invest in any project or new venture, then obviously the money will go back to the shareholders, whether in form of dividend or buyback, that will have to be seen.
Sure, but even if you can talk a little bit about which are these segments that you're exploring at this stage from a capital allocation
There's
perspective.
nothing right now which is concrete. We have been exploring.
Sure, sir. And if I can squeeze in one last question, and it's a follow-up to a question which was there by one of the participants in terms of the resin business, and basically what is happening in China related to decarbonization. So what we're seeing is in some of the other sectors like steel, etc., there is a lot of emphasis around decarbonization that China is putting in. So if you can give us some sense on what do you think is happening on the PVC side as well, and if you see if this can drive meaningfully higher spreads from a medium-term perspective in this business. Any thoughts you may have on that?
What is your exact question? For decarbonization by China?
So because of decarbonization by China, you did emphasize that on the carbide-based route, obviously the carbon footprint is significantly higher. So do you see a possibility that China will curtail the existing production? If not, I mean, one is basically stopping them from adding more plants. The second is also curtailing the existing plants. And because of that, the profitability of the entire PVC resin business goes up structurally. Do you see that as a possibility, sir, or if you can talk about anything which is specifically happening in China right now?
I think what we talk about is a bigger and larger issue about decarbonization. In entire refining process or even in petrochemicals and other things, it's a carbon footprint will be there. It just cannot go into green energy and doing that into that. There are no technologies at present. Ethylene also, when you make, it has got a very high carbon footprint. So it is there, and that comparison is only relative comparison, whether it is ethylene based or it is carbide based. So how the climate change ecosystem evolves across the globe and how people are more compelled to do that, and how finally the products based on carbon footprint are valued, then only this change will happen. Otherwise, it will not happen.
Sure. Great. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit Zarif from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Good morning, team. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, team. My question is on the demand side. So, sir, what kind of demand are we seeing from government projects? Because we have seen government allocation in all these Nal Se Jal and all schemes have been doubled for FY22. And an extension to this question, sir, assuming hypothetically if say 100% of the allocation is actually materialized on the ground, so what kind of demand it can create in the existing pipes industries?
I think this particular quarter, if you see, there were lockdowns. So more or less, all these projects are on hold. So there is nothing like that will drive the demand at present. That Nal Se Jal or Awas Yojana, which are all governmental projects, but they are driven by the state governments. And more or less 23 states were under some kind of a lockdown in Q1. So there has been subdued demand in all these type of programs.
Okay, so you also see the risk to these budgeted estimates?
I think definitely in a long-term basis, both agri sector, India's irrigation is only 40% of the land, cultivated land, and more than 50% in rain-fed area. So there is a demand which is there, going to be there for the future, for even agricultural piping. Whether it is the normal irrigation or it is the borewell irrigation like column and casing. That is one part. The second part is urbanization is increasing, and there are people, the population is aspirational. They want the housing. So housing sector demand is definitely going to go up, and with the government supporting it through Awas Yojana or some other programs, I think this demand is going to. So long term, if you see, demand is going to be there. So these are some of the aberrations that may happen. At present we can't compare last year and this year what demands will come, and these are short-term aberrations. Possibly once the pandemic is over, I think everything should be coming back.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
And moreover, demand for PVC pipes will progressively rise because this is for last mile connectivity that these pipes will be required in these projects.
Right, sir. So, sir, and just a follow-up with this. So, suppose if government is allocating 100 rupees for all these projects, so what amount of demand it will translate into for pipes, say 5%, 10% of this? How should we look at this number, sir?
I think if you look at even housing sector, now in housing, what is the cost of the contribution of piping? It is 3 to 4%.
Right.
So whatever, So I think we should not get too much of this. 3 to 4% of a housing cost. This is what will be the piping requirement. You get my point?
Yes, I got it. That's all from my side, sir. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ishaq Khatri from Omkara Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. So I basically had this question. So it's pretty basic in terms of, so you mentioned that we are one of the largest integrated players in the pipe segment. And now obviously I understand that PVC prices have been going up, so our margins for resins have also increased. But in general, what kind of, so other than one, obviously there's supply sustainability because we have in-house manufacturing of resins. But other than that, in terms of margins and profitability for the pipe segment, what kind of benefit do we get from this integration, and how has it been over the years?
See, we have been reporting the two segments separately. So if you talk of profitability, since we transfer the material at the market price, there's no real benefit. Only benefit is the quality supply and timely supply.
Okay, fair point. Also, if you could tell me what is the difference between the margins for agri and non-agri pipes, because I believe agri is lower. So is there any difference for us as well?
Obviously, in case of agri, the end user is farmer. So the market prices are lower and margins are slightly lower as compared to non-agri. Non-agri margins are higher. Within non-agri, CPVC margins are better. Fittings margins are better.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Arun Baid from BOC Capital Markets. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. So you just mentioned that there will be some impact, some PVC prices going up because of the global hardening. So do you think that will impact the demand, sir?
The demand will be coming up in quarter 3. Presently, it's a monsoon demand for agri. And,
I appreciate that. Yeah.
COVID 2.0 is also slowly receding, so they're opening up. There are certain uncertainties on COVID 3.0, this third wave, and still the total opening is not happening. I think Delhi and other states are just opening up. I think maybe just 15 days back they have opened up. So slowly the small scale industry and other people who are normally buying from the domestic markets, so they will be the ones, if they start, the demand will pick up.
So what I was trying to actually get to is the fact is that because you're saying the prices would be in the range of $1,250 to $1,450 by between now and December, and the peak seasons for us from agri perspective starts from January, February. So will that because have an impact there more so? I'm not talking more of this quarter, sir, because this quarter obviously is dull for us.
So you are saying that whether it will have any impact in the quarter 3 and quarter 4. That is what you are saying, right?
Yes, sir.
I think it is still a longer term, to predict any kind of movement.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly if COVID-3 is not there across the globe, then possibly everything will be opening up more.
Mm-hmm.
And then the freights will also come down. The inter-region trades also will change the entire pattern, So this is unpredictable at present, uncertain. Let us not get into predicting too far away because the things are so volatile.
Right, sir.
And something giving a guidance on that will be a opinion-based statement.
Okay. And so we earlier, last one when we had a call, you're looking at volumes of ballpark FY20 volumes from our PVC pipe business. So what do you think now, based on what you're thinking or what you're seeing, can be the kind of numbers we should look at for the full year?
I think what we should be looking at is definitely a 10 to 15% increase over the last year. That means whatever we did in FY 2021, about 10 to 15% more. Our attempt will be to reach the pre-pandemic, but then let us hope that if there is no COVID-3, then it will be possible.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rajesh Ravi from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Good afternoon. I just missed the prices for the PVC resins which you mentioned during mentioned earlier in the call for Q1 and last year Q1 and the current prices.
What you want is
PVC resin prices.
Yeah. PVC resin prices Q1 22 PVC is 1543.
Okay.
And Q1 FY21 740. So it is less than half.
And now, as we current last week you mentioned
moving last week. So 1360.
1360. And sir, this fall you're seeing even in Indian market the correction is there, because of late we are hearing there's some recovery in prices. So what is the trend you're looking at?
Today's ICIS is showing about 1400.
Okay. So basis demand supply dynamics globally, what is the outlook you are looking at for next 6 months or for this financial year?
We see that these prices will sustain like this for the rest of the year.
Okay.
Somewhere around 1300, 1400 range.
Okay, so it is
side maybe 1250 to 1450.
Okay, but not beyond, not below that. Nothing below 1,000.
If you take 30 as average, then plus minus 100.
Okay. And sir, are your your realizations in the PVC resins, do they move in tandem with the this average market price, this international prices that you report?
Yes, we are at parity with the international prices.
Sorry, I missed it. What did you say?
Indian prices, domestic prices of PVC are at same level as international prices.
Okay, they move in tandem.
Exactly.
Okay. And lastly, on the CPVC revenue you mentioned for the quarter was how much, sir?
CPVC, yeah?
CPVC revenue, yes.
CPVC resin revenue was 87 crores.
87 crores. Any outlook on the CPVC resin realization? Have they been moving up, or are they expected to go up?
I think CPVC, our portfolio is growing, and last quarter we did quite well. This quarter, because of pandemic, it has gone down, but I think we will recover back on this.
Sure, no, that's great. I'm asking on the resin prices for CPVC or the CPVC pricing again, both, as we have seen volatility in the PVC prices as well as in resins. What are your outlook on the CPVC side?
PVC prices have not really moved as the PVC prices.
Okay.
So they are more or less they have gone up, but not to the extent of the PVC prices.
Okay.
PVC prices have moved something like from average of about $1,000 to $1,500 at one time, right? So it is 50%, 60% rise. To that extent, CPVC prices have not gone up by 50-60%.
But any ballpark how much they have gone up?
They have gone up about 10 to 15%.
Okay, versus last year average you are saying?
Yes.
Okay, and lastly is fittings revenue you also shared during the call?
Fittings revenue.
It is 141 crores.
And versus YY?
56 crores.
And March quarter, how much it was, sir?
158 crores. 158.
158 crores. Okay. Great, sir. That's from all from my end. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ritesh Shah from Investec India. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Thanks. This will be the last question. I think we don't have any further questions. Sir, very simple question. If the PVC, EDC, ethylene, VCM prices remain at the current levels for the full of Q2 quarter, would we be looking at inventory losses in Q2?
See, obviously there will be inventory losses because if you look quarter on quarter, the prices have come down for pipes, resin as well.
Okay. Sir, can you give some...
Delta also we have been reporting it has been coming down.
Okay. Sir, can you give more color, like typically for Q2, our PVC resin production is more towards EDC ethylene route, right? I think last year was an exception, but historically, would that premise be correct?
Yeah. Each year it is Q2 is more on the EDC route.
Okay. And sir, what you indicated that the last week prices for both EDC and ethylene, I think it was 690 versus 709, and ethylene it was higher actually, 1005 versus $991.
Mm-hmm.
So should one presume that there would be inventory losses because I think ethylene prices are higher but EDC prices are lower, or is it like a wait and watch on how it actually plays out?
I think Ritesh, our working is like this. We fill up all our tanks, sometimes from March to April, and hold the inventory for 4 months for monsoon because our jetty is out. So our all raw material prices are somewhere average of March, April. You get my point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So present pricing or last quarter pricing has not so much of a relevance.
Okay. Sure. That's helpful. And sir, lastly, earlier we had spoken about basically the variable component for the marketing people. Is there any update on that particular matter?
No, sir. No.
Nothing. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for your answers. Rutuja, do we have any further questions?
No, we don't have anyone in the questions list.
Great. So thank you, Rutuja. I'd like to thank the management for giving Investec Capital opportunity to host them. And I'll again hand over the call to Mr. Matt for any concluding remarks, please.
Thank you, Ritesh. I think I hope we have satisfied your queries, and we have been giving you listening to the extent that you are satisfied with what answers we have given. I also appreciate your interest in Finolex and your support to Finolex in investing in Finolex. So we look at your relationship going forward, and thank you very much to all of you, and thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. On behalf of Investec Capital Services, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.